Jane Austen remained successful in portraying the themes of human nature and manners in Pride and Prejudice. Jane Austen loves to write about manners, behavior, etiquette, love, relationship and marriages. Some common themes of Pride and Prejudice are social life, manners and human nature, love and marriage, class and integrity, reputation, false pride and prejudice, social life, manners and human nature. Jane Austen portrays manners as a theme in Pride and Prejudice. Mr. Bennet talks to his wife Mrs. Bennet and teases her. She replies ridiculously to every saying of Mr. Bennet. The writer creates a sketch of a married couple to show a mannerless attitude of the couple. The writer talks either about the upper middle class or the lower middle class in her novel. She portrays the themes of social life and manners in Pride and Prejudice through these two classes. How are the upper middle classes and lower middle classes spending life? What are their views about each other? How do they meet? What are their interests? All these questions have been answered by the writer in this novel. Darcy says about Elizabeth, "She is not handsome enough to tempt me." Subsequently, he proposes to her without any attraction or understanding. It seems a very ill-mannered way of dealing with a person. The novel is all about the social, moral life and manners of people. Themes of love and marriage in Pride and Prejudice. Mr. Bingley and Jane are two first characters, and a love relationship between them develops. Jane Austen talks about Mr. and Mrs. Bennet, whose marriage is not based on love, but on compromises. Symbolically, the writer portrays a message that a marriage without love and affection is a failure. Jane Austen discusses 5 marriages and 5 couples in this novel, who are Mr. and Mrs. Bennet, Bingley and Jane, Wickham and Lydia, Mr. Collins and Charlotte Lucas, Darcy and Elizabeth. Love and relationships between different couples are 2 prominent themes that Jane Austen portrays in her novel Pride and Prejudice. Themes of class and integrity in Pride and Prejudice. There are 2 classes in the novel. Mr. Darcy belongs to the first, whereas Elizabeth belongs to the second. Despite class differences, there are certain principles of each class. Each one has integrity and the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Darcy proposes to Elizabeth, but she refuses in spite of knowing that Mr. Darcy has a good fortune. Similarly, one of the Bingley sisters has been shown as a class-conscious lady. Lydia elopes with Mr. Wickham. Mr. Darcy settles the matter for the integrity of the Bennet family. Besides love, integrity is also one of the remarkable themes of Pride and Prejudice. Themes of false pride and prejudice by Jane Austen. Mr. Darcy has fake pride in the start of the novel. Indeed, he is a wealthy person and belongs to a good family, but to think of oneself as superior to others is a dogma. In case Elizabeth has accepted the initial proposal of Mr. Darcy, then he never has realized his mistake. Elizabeth is prejudiced, and in order to save her reputation, she must reject Mr. Darcy's proposal. The writer writes about these incidents in detail that illustrate reputation, false pride and prejudice as major themes of this novel.